Hey everyone, welcome to the Salvation Army Northwest Music Department's video on vocal warm-ups, Part 2. In the last video, I mentioned that there were several components to a solid vocal warm-up. Those were posture, airflow, space, sound, extension, and diction. Today, we're going to talk about airflow. As singers, our breath is the most important part of our vocal mechanism. Think of your sound as a sailboat, and your breath is the wind in the sails. Now, too much air, and the boat can be hard to control, and your sound could be uneven and even choppy. And not enough air, and the boat doesn't move. We need to make sure we are expanding our lungs completely, and filling them with the right amount of air for the phrase we're singing. Before we get to warm-ups, let's talk about the lungs. The lungs sit on the inside of the rib cage and attach in several places. They're made of a pliable material that allows them to stretch in all directions. When we inhale, the lungs should expand in all directions. Now, oftentimes when people breathe, they're only filling a portion of their lungs. They take a breath in and their shoulders move, and it raises, and then when they exhale, everything collapses down on each other. That's often referred to as clavicular breathing because of the movement right around the clavicle. When we start voice lessons, we're sometimes taught belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. And that's sometimes interpreted to mean that when we breathe in, we need to push our bellies out to allow the diaphragm to descend and our lungs to expand downward. Now, that's certainly better than the clavicular breathing that some of us were doing before that, but that still only gives us a little bit of space. It doesn't maximize our lung capacity. The best breathing includes a total expansion of the rib cage. Imagine a balloon. When you put air into a balloon, it doesn't just expand in one direction. The air enters and begins pushing all sides of the balloon until all available space is filled. Similarly, when we breathe, we should aim to fill all the available space in our lungs. Now, go ahead and place your hands on your rib cage. Inhale and imagine you're breathing into your hands. Feel how that expands in all directions, right? We want to make sure we're expanding not just down, but down and up and out and forward and backward. Let's do that one more time. Hands on your rib cage and take a nice breath in. All right, let's get into some exercises. There are a lot of various exercises you can do for breathing. In fact, there's a whole system that I recommend called the Breathing Gym. Now, I won't be demonstrating any of those today, but in the description below you can find a link to their videos. They're a great resource if you want to delve further into breathing exercises. Now, just be careful with our exercises and theirs not to overdo it. If you start to feel a little lightheaded or short of breath, go ahead and sit down. All right, as we start, we want to remember one quick thing, and it's that respiration happens in 3 phases. Now, other people will have other ideas, but for the purposes of today's exercises, we're going to remember that respiration's in 3 phases. The first one is exhalation, and then there's a short pause as number 2, and then the last one is inhalation. We often want to think about inhalation as the setup for the next thing that we're doing, right? We exhale, we make sound, we take a second, and then we inhale to prepare for the next sound we're going to make. So with that idea, exhale all of your air as much as you can, and then prolong that pause until you feel a hunger for the air. And then at the moment of inhalation, just let your lower jaw drop and relax your muscles. Go ahead and do that now. Now, exhale forcefully, blowing out all of your air. On this next inhalation, let your arms come up with you. Exhale forcefully on a ch sound and bring your arms down with you. And now, slowly inhale. Now, for our next exercise, we're going to pulse on quarter notes with an SH or a sh sound. We're going to do 4 short pulses followed by 1 long one. And this is really going to activate the diaphragm. And then on the inhalation afterward, I want you to let your jaw drop and your throat expand just a little bit, almost like you're yawning. And that's going to allow us to let the air in silently so we don't hear ourselves gasp for breath. All right? Now, before we start that, just make sure you get your hands either on your rib cage or really down here on your belly just to feel those pulses. For this last exercise, I want you to breathe out first. When you breathe in, imagine you're smelling a beautiful flower or some homemade chocolate chip cookies. Exhale slowly on a s sound. You'll want to direct the airflow onto a specific point on the other side of the room and keep your posture up and really just try to make sure the sound doesn't waver. The goal is to create one consistent stream of air. Now remember that boat from the beginning? We want to make sure that we push it smoothly across the water. All right, go ahead and breathe out. I hope you enjoyed today's video on airflow and breathing. Join us next time as we talk about vocal space and its influence on sound. Have a great week, and see you next time.